Okay, let's go from baseball. Let's go to football. Where do you want to start? Because, boy, there's a lot of things to talk about.
Oh, my God. The Chargers, like all of a sudden, it was doom and gloom, and now suddenly things are looking brighter for the team.
Well, they won in Houston, almost lost in Houston. It was Houston, which is really a poor team as it relates to roster makeup. So they get back to 500 at 2-2. Now they got to go to Cleveland. And that's going to be a much bigger challenge, John, because the Bolts, led by Justin Herbert, who threw for 340 last week, the Bolts are not playing the Houston Texans. They're playing Cleveland. The weather forecast in Cleveland, sunny and cool, and 100% chance they're going to run Nick Chubb and the linebacker Hill all day long.
What a great
That's going to be an enormous challenge for the Charger defense because we know what Kansas City is doing post Baker Mayfield without Deshaun Watson. They're playing power ball with those two running backs. And I mean, Chubb is that's a 100-yard guy. And Kareem Hunt has really become a great complement to what Nick Chubb is. And they can still throw the football down the field with Jacoby Brissett. The fascinating aspect to the Chargers is that they don't have their left tackle. They've had problems on the right side of the offensive line that are starting to spring up. Cleveland's obviously, if Cleveland were 100% healthy, you'd really be worried about Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney coming off the edge. But those guys have had minor injury problems. But Cleveland does have a really good secondary led by Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, etc. I don't think this is going to be an easy game. What Herbert has done so far to play through this fractured rib cartilage thing is pretty amazing. But he did it against the Houston Texans, and that's not much of a challenge. This is, I think, a legitimate Cleveland Browns big-time defense. And the Charger defense, their manhood's going to get tested because that's going to be Nick Chubb and that's going to be Kareem Hunt. And occasionally it's Jacoby Brissett throwing the football down the field. Your response?
Yeah, I get it because we knew they were rickety kind of going into Houston. And then, I turn on the TV and it's like, wow, they were up big. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's kind of a weak team. They're near the bottom of the NFL. But going into Cleveland is tough, even, in the new stadium environment, the dog pound is there. And going on the road 2 consecutive weeks, it's going to be tough for the Chargers. Let's see if they are starting to heal or if they're going to get exposed.
Herbert's thrown for 1,250 yards this season. Think about that with not great protection and with an injury. That's pretty impressive. Now, do they get heal? No. Keenan Allen retweaked his hamstring again. He is out. That's a big setback. Now, there's another thing. It's not been talked about. Dustin Hopkins injured a quad in the game in Houston, and he is their rock-solid, trustworthy field goal kicker. If he can't play, they just brought in a street free agent on Thursday that might have to try to kick field goals in the dog pound. So will not be easy for the Bolts.